This is the second in the series of our phone-in program. So in about 10 minutes, ਅਸੀਂ phone line now kholange, and you can have your say on anything that we've covered in the show and what you'd like us to cover in the future. So in about 10 minutes, those lines will open. If you want to start dialing and get yourselves lined up, then you can speak directly to me. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ about the program, and we're not going to talk about anything outside of business and what the program's been talking about. So we're going to have a situation whereby we're going to make some changes to the johal show. So ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਜੋ ਕੁਛ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰੀਏ, that's what we want to start doing now. So we've had about 20 stories of people of our community ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ community ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਸੋਹਣਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ that you hadn't really heard about. People like Kamal Hoti and Kavitra O'Broy, Paz here, people like that. And last week we had Sharon Sami sharing her story. बड़ियां सोहणियां businesses चला रहे आ, and they're doing really good work in our community. So these are the people that we never hear about and nobody ever talks about them. They're not political people. कोई इस तरह दी गल नहीं वो करदे ਜਿਹੜੀ controversial होवे. You know, we had Vic Ganth, the artist. We had my friends Raj and Suk from the Kickley Road show. So anything that you want to say about those programs and what we covered, and has it helped you in any way, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਲਾਹ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, is that bringing any value to you? So it's very important that you get your views across and tell me what it is that you have learnt. And if you haven't learned anything, tell me that also, because at the end of the day, we want to bring you programs that you really want to see on this TV station. So that's what's going to happen tonight. So we've got about 50 minutes. So get your calls in and ask me anything that you wish to ask. So other than that, so we've covered 20 odd programs. We had people like Ravi Singh from Khalsa Aid spreading that message, and bada sona kam kar raha hai, especially now with what's going on in India right now. Big help. So these people are inspirational people. Okay, they help people around them, and they bring the word of our community that the work that we're doing is really important. So we had Manjit Gill of Binti. We talked about some of the taboo subjects that we don't often talk about in our community, you know, periods and those issues around all of those kind of things. So any of those subjects that you would like to see covering, ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ interest ਹੈਗਾ that we're not covering right now, ਕੋਈ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ language ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, and you can even have your say on that, ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਹੈ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਚ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਜਾਂ we can mix this thing up, ਹਨਾ? Because at the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to transition now from, you know, those of us that are older to having our youngsters have programs that they want. ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਉਹ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ that can actually see positive role models of our community on the television, because we don't really see that very often. So ਭਾਜੀ ਹੁਣਾਂ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਸਲਾਹ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਕੋਈ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਈਏ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਬੜੇ ਸੋਹਣੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ, but ਜਿਹੜਾ mainstream TV ਆ ਉਹ ਦਿਖਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਿਹਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ, because obviously, you know, they pick different types of people. They ਕੋਈ necessarily ਇੱਦਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ especially ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ. So not a lot of people want to see that, but we do. ਅਸੀਂ ਬੜੇ proud ਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਤਗੜੇ businessmen ਆ, and ladies of course, doing some amazing work, and that work we can share. So ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਕੁਝ ਸਿੱਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ that what it is that these people are doing and how we can copy those things. So I've achieved great success in my own business and in my own family life, learning from people in our own community. So ਕੋਈ ਅੰਕਲ ਹੋਵੇ, ਕੋਈ ਚਾਚਾ ਮਾਮਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੁਛ ਨਾ ਕੁਛ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਸਿਖਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਪਰ ਕੋਈ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ every time that is somebody within our family, because ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਸਿੱਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ. So one of the big things that I really wanted to cover in these shows is that ਕੋਈ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਕੋਈ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਬਣੇ ਜਾਂ ਡੈਂਟਿਸਟ ਬਣੇ ਜਾਂ ਅਕਾਊਂਟੈਂਟ ਬਣੇ. ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਟ੍ਰੈਡੀਸ਼ਨਲੀ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ professions ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, because there's lots of new professions and lots of new ideas that people can make money from professions other than this. So ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਕੋਲ ਵੀ freedom ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਵੀ ਜੋ ਕੁਛ ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਦਿਲ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਉਹ ਕਰਨ. So Bazhir Bhaji ਆਏ ਸੀਗੇ, they bake cakes for a living. So ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਦੇ ਸੋਚ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ। ਸੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੇਕ ਬੜੇ ਬੜੇ ਹਾਲੀਵੁੱਡ ਸੁਪਰਸਟਾਰਸ ਲਈ ਬਣਾਏ ਆ, and he's reached people and places that he would never have reached had he carried on with his job. So, and the boys from Kikli Roadshow, Raj Hori, Suk, you know, they've traveled the world. Sari duniya na dekh lai from being DJs, and we can't ever imagine that these are the kind of businesses that would have a great future, but they do. So bada duniya badi change ho rahi hai, and COVID now will change the world again. So ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਚਲਿਆ, you know, we've been in lockdown for a year almost, and there's no end in sight anytime soon. The death rate is coming down, but it's not coming down fast enough in my view, and you know, every death is unnecessary. If we could have prevented it, then you know, that would have been the ultimate, but such is life. We're here now, but one day this will end, right? In a month, 2 months, 3 months, we will see the back of this thing, and then we'll learn to manage it. I don't think it will ever go away, but that's how things go. So when we come out of this, the world will have changed permanently. There will be a new norm. I don't know what that's going to be, and I don't think anybody does, but our habits have changed. Honestly, bahar jano hat gaye hain. Maybe we'll never do that again. Maybe our weddings will get smaller. Maybe they'll get bigger. So we don't really know how those things are going to go. So what the future holds for this show is that what I'm proposing that we do is that we start bringing not the stories of, you know, the older people that we've had, great examples though they are in terms of what we should be doing and what we can learn, but I want to bring you some guests that are currently doing these businesses. So, you know, they've set up in business, younger people that are currently trying to become entrepreneurs in different fields, whatever that may be. So if you're one of those entrepreneurs trying to get your business off the ground and you'd like to come on the show, then by all means get in touch with the station, get in touch with me, and we'll see if we can arrange for that to happen. Because the more we share stories, the more other people will learn, the more you will inspire people, and you will learn yourself. You know, we had a gentleman call a couple of weeks ago, and you know, he started with £10 and in Manchester, and I believe he's worth over £35 million now. And that was something that we all learned, and he shared his experiences about how the shows had benefited him and how he'd come across people. And of course, the other thing is that we're in lockdown right now, so we can't see the people that we want to see. We can't always experience the things that we want to experience. You know, my own business, we used to run events in London and in Leicester once a month, where 25, 30 people would gather for a day to learn about business. But of course, for the last year, we haven't been able to do that. And so these types of mediums, TV, computers, internet, Facebook, are the only ways that we're able to communicate now. So it's even more important that we're staying at home, that can we use that time to actually grow ourselves, grow our businesses. So, you know, gyms are closed right now. So are you keeping fit, for instance, at home? And it's a great time to be concentrating in those types of things. Mental health has been a real issue during these times because it's stressful. You know, staying at home, doing things that we're not able to do, not being able to go out, not being able to see our friends. That's been a very stressful time, and not everybody has coped as well as other people. So what's happening about that? And you can really help yourself by looking at what's going on in media and how people on channels like YouTube and social media can help you get through those times. So more about some of the projects that we're going to be looking at. So one of the things that the station and I will be doing is offering mentorship in growing your business. So we will be bringing case studies to you of people that we've worked with, people that have benefited from having coaching and having a business mentor to help them grow their business. So if you're a young entrepreneur, and we had Ruby Mehat on the show, she's a young lawyer, and she's trying to launch a career as a author, self-published author of beautiful books that she spoke about. And sometimes there's not the experience in the family and the people that we know around us to help us grow these businesses. So how does that happen? Well, you know, we've interviewed a whole host of people that have got lots of experience in doing just that. They've grown their own businesses. But people like Kamal Houti have experience in mentorship. So they're constantly looking at and helping younger people to come through and grow their businesses and grow themselves personally. People like Kavitra O'Broy offer a wealth of experience to all of us, including myself, and helping us to grow those businesses and where we want to get those to be. So if you're a young entrepreneur looking to grow your business, and or an older entrepreneur, you know, you can start business at any time. Colonel Saunders of KFC fame was 66 years old when he launched Kentucky Fried Chicken. So, you know, that age is no barrier to being an entrepreneur and starting your own business. In fact, you know, I'm regularly having clients that are in their 50s and 60s who, now that the children have grown up, they've gone and they've got some time to actually start the business that they always dreamt about. So don't be afraid and don't think that you've missed the boat. Warren Buffett, the world famous entrepreneur and one of the richest men in the world, started his 90% of his wealth came after the age of 53. So he's about 85, 86 right now. So the last 30 years of his life have brought in 90% of the wealth that he has created. So, you know, ask those questions. If you've got an idea for business that you want to start, by all means phone and ask what you can do and how you can accelerate that. That's something that I do on a day-to-day basis. And we have a team of people that can help you with social media, can help you e-commerce. So if you want to launch an online business, in a few weeks' time, I'll have a guest here who is an expert in doing just that, helping you launch these businesses. Very, very easy to launch an e-commerce business right now or have a shop online. Done correctly, it can be very, very profitable, and things like the pandemic don't affect you. So, you know, companies like Amazon have grown exponentially during this pandemic because obviously we haven't been able to go out and we haven't been able to take our shopping to the high street. So the high street's come to us. So I believe we have our first caller. So we'll take that call right now. Hello?
Hello?
Hello there.
Yeah.
Hi, who am I
My
speaking
name's
to?
Umesh.
Hi Umesh, how are you doing?
Not too bad at all. Yeah, it's just I'm happy to see your shows. I've seen a couple of them, and obviously with what Cam's talking about today, I'd just like to sort of give him praise for helping our community.
Excellent, thank you very much. How do you think, Umesh, these shows are helping our community?
It's allowing our community to open up and know that we can actually do a bit more than we feel that we can do, you know? So opportunities are available to us if we look.
There are opportunities everywhere, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Umesh, can I ask, were you born here in this country?
No, I was born in East Africa.
Okay. And how old were you when you came here?
About 4 or 5 years old.
Okay. It's interesting because I was 10 when I came to this country. And
Yeah.
I am telling you that I haven't lost my immigrant mentality in thinking that this country is full of opportunity and anybody can achieve anything. Do you feel the same?
Yes, I do. At the end of the day, it's like what you were saying on the program just now. Colonel Saunders was 66 when he started, and I've just started my business, and I've just turned 60, so I've got a few years on top of Colonel Saunders, but I want to achieve as much as he does to some degree.
So you got 6 years on Saunders?
Yes.
And of course, Joe Biden has just started his presidency at 78.
Exactly. So I've got a lot more years on Joe Biden as well.
There's a lot we can achieve in the next 6 years to get up to where Colonel Saunders, where he just started.
Exactly.
And I don't know about you, when they were talking about how old Joe Biden was, and of course the West is obsessed with young people, right?
Exactly. And sometimes somebody that's older always sort of has a good head on their shoulders and has some experience behind them.
Yeah. Well, he brings 50 years of political experience, doesn't he, to that office?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, and it's the most powerful job in the free world, certainly, and obviously it has huge demands. But as an older gentleman, he will do that job differently, won't he, than somebody that would be 20, 30, 40 years his junior.
Exactly. And the thing is also, with him having that experience behind him, it actually settles the rest of the world rather than somebody that was previously there. And that situation shows that it rocked the world, and it was scaring people in other parts of the world with what he was getting up to. Whereas this guy, Biden, obviously we might be looking at a situation where he's going to stabilise the world because people can put trust in him.
Well, age really has nothing to do with that, because the previous incumbent, who we won't talk about, was 74. An older person has experience, has been around, has experience of life. And you would think that, exactly as you said, that I think the world certainly feels that it's in a safer pair of hands right now than it was, just a few months back. But that's a personality thing, isn't it?
Definitely.
Okay. So, Umesh, what would you like to see on the shows? Because what we've brought so far has been the unsung heroes, people that we haven't seen on TV, because mainstream media doesn't really care about showing people of a different background to the mainstream, right? So I felt that we had huge numbers of successful people that could be a real example to the rest of us. And I think they have been. So is there anything else that you'd like to see? Or, my thoughts are now that we've seen some more established people. On the whole, a lot of the standout peoples have been a little bit older, and we talked about their experiences of growing up in this country. So some of the youngsters could actually feel, what it was like growing up in this country 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. So now, go on, sorry.
So what I was going to say is basically we're looking at how we can help our children, how we can help our younger people in our community to get to those stages and where to go. So if we can show them this is, you can go here or you can go there, what you do at the moment, the coaching that you do, which I think is fantastic, which helps youngsters to find a way to become financially free and also look at how to improve their own lives and their families.
Fantastic points. The thing is that I'm all about sharing. So I've got vast experience of business and finance, and I took it upon myself a few years ago that I would start sharing my knowledge and experience with other people. And it gives me no greater pleasure than helping, somebody like yourself, who would, in our community, would be considered at the end of his career, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that would consider that, but at the end of the day, you're as young as you feel in your mind, and if you want to go ahead, then you should.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, some of the youngsters who've got a lot more years in terms of the mistakes they can make and what they can build. You think that that's a good thing, that we're going to be helping more of those people by bringing in younger people to the show who will share their stories of their actual trials and tribulations of setting up their businesses.
Of course, yeah. It shows others that it's possible, and there are mistakes you can make, and if you can learn by somebody else's mistakes, that's one less mistake you make yourself.
An uncle of mine used to say that everybody learns from their own mistakes, but a wise man learns from other people's mistakes.
Yeah, I think I do agree with what you're saying there.
Yeah. And it's a lot cheaper, isn't it, to learn from somebody else's mistakes?
Yeah, Exactly. You could do something, lose a lot of money, and you'll never forget that mistake. But if somebody else did it and you know that they lost money, then you'd avoid it yourself.
Well, that's the whole idea, isn't it, of sharing experiences, going to a mentorship program or furthering your education, investing in yourself. And that's the idea that, you can make those mistakes on paper, which don't cost you anything. But in the real world, that would be a very, very expensive mistake. In fact, it could be a fatal mistake, couldn't it?
Definitely. Totally agree with what you're saying there.
Okay. Anything you'd like to add, Umesh?
No, I just wanted to sort of come on the air and have a quick word with you and just give you appreciation that you're helping our community and you're doing it and it's improving our community, because we are a small fortune in this country, but we have the power and the knowledge and the brain power to actually do a lot more.
Do you know something that's so important? And it was a conversation that I had with a guest that we've got coming on in the next few weeks. And what's actually happening within our community is that some of the brightest, the best people that we have are being educated in our community, being taught the hard working ethics that our community has always had. And then they're going out of our community and losing touch with us.
Yes.
And it's like a brain drain out of our community. And so those people are leaving. So we're not getting the benefit of the education, the culture that this community provides. And they're taking that out of the community and putting it into the mainstream, where they don't always get recognition.
Yeah, I see. Where here you can actually improve your own community, learn, and do a lot better. Because a lot of people in the old days used to go, learn in India, do the education, get the brain power, and then shoot off to America. And it was a waste, because it wasn't helping India, it wasn't helping our own community, it was just helping themselves. But I understand that as well. But you can learn and you can help your community as well.
I think it's very important that we, improve ourselves. We've got the expertise, we've got the brain power, we've got a lot of very, very talented people in our community. So if they start putting back, that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, definitely only a good thing, yeah.
Right? Because the thing is, we can all complain, can't we? We all know what's wrong. Right?
Yeah.
And, when we started this TV show, there was a few of my friends that eventually came on the show and few that haven't. And they said, look, you know what? We don't really watch Indian TV because it's not this and it's not this and it's not that. So I said, well, why don't we do something about it?
Yeah.
It's all very well complaining.
You need to be in it to change it.
That's right. It's all very well complaining about it. And I'm saying this to my audience today, that, don't complain. Get up and do something about it. You can make a difference. And, we're, like you said, we're a small community. We're not that big. And if you've got something that you are, upset about within our community that's going wrong, then instead of complaining, get together with a few other people and form a group of you and actually fix the problem.
That's a great idea, Cam.
Yeah?
A lot more people should, embrace that.
It's turning the problem on its head, isn't it?
It is.
Right? So, we had a guest who said that, he felt that Indian TV wasn't of quality and the BBC had 12 cameras and we had 2 or 3, etc., etc., etc. So I said, well, when was the last time you were interviewed by the BBC?
Well, that's a good answer. Yeah, definitely.
Right? I'm really sorry to say this, but, you're the wrong colour to be on there, right? They will always have token, people to show that they're diverse. But once the quota's full, it's full, isn't it?
It's full. And then they say, well, we don't need any more.
That's right. So whereas here within our own community, we can build and build and build and build and build. And I'm not, I'm all for diversification. I'm all for integration. But at the same time, we have our own identity, don't we?
Yes, definitely. And we need to increase that. We need to exploit that more and have a situation where we can give programs that people want to watch as well, but educate our community, educate our youngsters, and give a better life in this country.
Well, look, you know, who doesn't want to improve themselves? Who doesn't want more money? Who doesn't want a better quality of life? And within our community, you know, the thing that we're the biggest on is education and making sure that our children do very, very well in education. So if we can help them by programs on our own community channels, not just this one, we've got lots of really good channels out there. And if those, the management and the owners of those channels give opportunities to youngsters to have the sort of programs that they want to have, well, that's the future, isn't it?
That is definitely the future.
Yeah. So listen, Umesh, thank you so much for your time. Been lovely speaking with you and great views. And keep enjoying the show and keep phoning in when we have these and letting us have your thoughts.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Cam. Really
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, you know what? Amazing views from a gentleman that's starting his business. As he said, he's turned 60. So, ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਲਈ too late ਆ ਹਨਾ ਉਮੇਸ਼ ਵਾਰ example ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲਵੋ and you know Joe Biden 78 years old become president of the United States and so ਕੋਈ age is not a barrier to doing this, but really our community looks the other way to our youngsters. So how can we help them and how can they become the entrepreneurs of the future? Because I fear that is also disappearing. You know, ਸਾਡੀ generation ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ a lot of people are in business and business ਅਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੋਹਣੀਆਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਸੋਹਣੇ ਅਸੀਂ lifestyle ਬਣਾਏ. We've given our families the education, we live in beautiful houses and we really are helping our community. So how do we nurture and get the future entrepreneurs to come forward and take up businesses and learn business, and how can we do that? So again, you know, it's something that we've been talking about here. So we're going to have a business mentorship program that you can come to and your children can come to, and we can learn together how do we grow businesses. So one of the biggest areas that our community is involved in is property. You know, whether it's residential or commercial property, we are so involved in that you know that the Sikh community particularly has the highest percentage of owner occupiers of property in this country. 85% of all Sikhs in this country live in their own property. And we would struggle sometimes to find people that actually rent in our own community. So youngsters may do that who are just starting out, and people that have newly arrived into this country or setting up home may rent for a short space of time. But generally speaking, we own our own properties. So, and then in many cases, we have investment properties that we own and we are renting those out. So if you are in that business, or if you want to get into that business, that is something that we can discuss if you want to have a program about that. So in the next few weeks, I'm going to be bringing some guests who are in the property business, who can help you and give examples of what they're doing in their property businesses and what's happening with those. And they will then come forward and share their experiences with you. So those are the kind of things that we're going to be talking about. But at the end of the day, as I've said, TV stations are yours, the people that watch these programs. So we have a lot of programs on our stations about our religion. And we have a lot of programs covering news in India. And we have a minority of programs that cover the subjects that affect us in this country. So, ਜਿਹੜੀ country 'ਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹਦੀਆਂ problems ਸਾਨੂੰ face ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਪੈਂਦੀਆਂ, not necessarily the Indian problems on a day-to-day basis. So, if you've got those issues going on, where do you get help from? Especially if you have not lived very long in this country, 8, 10, 12 years is not a long time. Families like ours who came here in the 50s and 60s, ਅਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ establish ਹੋ ਗਏ ਹਾਂ, and you know we don't find the same difficulties as you. So who is it that's looking after the things that are concerning you, and who is it that takes care of what you are trying to do and the difficulties that you have every day. So one of the biggest problems that we used to have in our community was the fact that when we went to school, our parents weren't that well educated and they couldn't really support us in the way that we've been able to support our children. So, we're well versed, so we're the next generation, but there are still plenty of our community, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੁਣ first generation ਆ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਤੋਂ ਜਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਤੋਂ ਬੜੀ ਦੇਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਈ, ਇਟਲੀ ਤੋਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਆਏ ਆ, ਸੋ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਸ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਦਾ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਸੋ they can't ਸਕੂਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਟੀਚਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਮੇਰਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਕੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਰਿਹਾ, what's the best thing that my child can go and do. So that's a very, very important bit of advice that you can receive from these type of programs and these types of channels. So we want to discuss this, open up kariye koi jehdi cheez hai. So the other thing that is a big issue in our community, I believe, is alcohol. So huge problem, especially jehdi saadi community de vich hai na, that there is the consumption of alcohol by men and sometimes by our ladies. So nobody seems to be addressing those issues. Koi nahi us issue nu address kar raha. We go to the Gurdwara and it's just a case of tusi amrit shak lavo, and then that way you will stop drinking alcohol. Well, it's simply not the case, and amrit shak nu is maybe that person's not ready, and then what happens is amrit shak ke bhi, then they end up doing wrong things by going back to drinking alcohol. And that's something that has been very dear to me in my own life. And, we need to address issues like that are facing us, and they face us on a daily basis. So these kind of problems are the things that we should be discussing, in my opinion. Again, if you think that that's not what we should be doing, that we should be doing something else, then by all means, let me know what your thoughts are. We've got some messages that are coming through right now. That's fine. If you don't want to come in the air, no problem at all. And we will address those issues, and I will get in touch with you personally. That's not an issue for me at all. I'd rather that you came on the air and discussed them openly. But every personal koi gall hundi hai that they don't want to discuss on air. I totally understand that. But something, je ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਕੋਈ problem ਹੈਗੀ ਆ, somebody else has got the same problem. We're not that unique, and we don't have issues in the sense that this is something that you're suffering with alone. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੋਚ ਰਹੇ ਆ that ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕੋਈ problem ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ business ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ, you're alone in doing that. Believe me, you're not, right? I believe in sharing, and they say a problem shared is a problem halved. So share those problems with everybody and you will get the answer. Community ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ answer ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਆ. We've got a big problem in the fact that ਅਸੀਂ ਸੰਗਦੇ ਸ਼ਰਮਦੇ ਆ, that what will people say? But you know what? It doesn't really matter what people say. You want to solve your problems. And if you can get your problem solved, by discussing them with other people, whether it's on air or whether it's not, then so be it. So, phone in, discuss whatever you want to do, and tell me which of the shows you enjoyed. And one of the standout shows for me was, when we interviewed Ravi Singh. So on a charity start 21 years ago, Khalsa Aid was started, and we all can be very proud of something that Ravi did all that time ago. It's now a worldwide charity helping in all conflict areas. And one of the things that I know of is that we donate to Khalsa Aid because it's ours, but they don't work just in India. And when people criticize them for not doing enough, it's because they're a worldwide charity, and it's something that we can all be proud of. And I believe that they've been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, and I hope that they succeed in getting that, because it's recognition for the whole of the Sikh community. So we have another call that we're going to take right now, so let's do that. Hello.
Yeah, hello. Is that Cam?
It is indeed.
Hi Cam, Sat Sri Akal ji, it's Ravi Suman.
Sat Sri Akal Ravi Paji, Sat Sri Akal. Ravi Suman on the call. Hi Ravi, how are you keeping?
I'm very well. How are you today?
Good, fantastic. You enjoying the show?
I am, and I think it's great that we're encouraging the community to share anything that's on their mind. A problem shared is indeed a problem solved.
It is, isn't it, Ravi? It is. So, Ravi, you obviously we know each other. You know, you have a wonderful business.
Thank you.
Tell our viewers what it is that you do, Ravi.
Yes, so after having a career for over 20 years in corporate, I help people get more healthier, more fitter, be more higher performing in their life. So it's essentially lifestyle coaching and fitness training.
Yeah.
And so it's delivered online, and it's also subject to COVID-19. There'll be some in-person training sessions. And this has just led me to ask a question, and that is, there's nothing wrong with working for an employer.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with working for a corporate. But with the way how life is changing, and you've got technology which is moving at a very quick pace, artificial intelligence is affecting how we live, it's affecting how we work, and it's here to stay. So I think it's very important that at a very young age, that it's up to families or individuals who are adults to help younger children learn skills which are not taught at school. So, for example, things like emotional intelligence have such an important role to play, whether it's in the workplace or whether you want to have your own business. Entrepreneurship is not taught at school.
Not at all.
That's another thing. So what can we do as not just a Sikh community, but as humanity, that we prepare our children and future generations for the world? Because when I was studying, life was a lot more predictable. Now it's unpredictable. I look at my nephews and nieces and ask myself, what can we do so that they got the right skills and aptitudes to deal with change? Because change is a constant. Now, it's up to us how we prepare for that. We're not in control of the end result, but we're in control of the actions we take and how we execute.
Really, really amazing points, Ravi. So what we're talking about, what Ravi's basically saying, that subjects like entrepreneurship, emotional intelligence, and finances in terms of handling money are things that the schools just do not teach, do not cover it, but they're so important in a world that's changing forever, changing faster and faster and faster. And, you know, Ravi quoted one of my favorite phrases, which, the only constant is change. So how do we do that? The best way, Ravi, I can describe that, and the only advice that I would give is the same advice that Mother Teresa gave, is that, you know, if you want to clean up the world, start sweeping your own doorstep. So we have a duty to our own children that, you know, be productive. It's not important, you know, whatever they learn at school, it's not the teacher's job to make an entrepreneur out of your child. It's not the teacher's job to make your child emotionally intelligent. It's not the teacher's job to teach your child finance and how to handle money. Their job is for your child to pass the exams so that the school looks good on the stats, right? So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so they are doing their job. And the other thing, of course, is that most schools are geared to produce the future workers of the world, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They're not interested in entrepreneurs, because the schools that are going to produce entrepreneurs are frequented by the very, very rich, and the fees are astronomical, because they're already breeding what they call the leaders of the world. You know, 80-90% of people like MPs in this country go to Oxford, Cambridge, Eton, right? So
yes,
those are the breeding grounds for what they presume are the leaders. So we as a community can help ourselves, because we're more than capable. There's people like you in our community who can help so much, but only if people then take the time and make the effort to get in touch and seek people like yourself out. What do you think, Ravi?
I think, firstly, I want to thank you for your kind words. I think you're being too nice to me. So, I'm more than happy to share my experience. And I've had failures in my life, I've had successes, I've made mistakes, but it's got me to where I am.
Absolutely.
And one of the lessons that I've learned in life is never be afraid of failure and embrace change and embrace risk. Not any type of risk, but risk that you can sustain.
Yes.
So, for example, you may want to place a trade on a stock or currency. You're not in control of where that stock or currency goes, but you're in control of how much you're willing to lose. So, using that metaphor, we need to, be comfortable in the risk that we can afford to take. We've got one life, and like many other Sikhs, I believe we're going to have more lives. But life is temporary.
Yes.
We're not in control of how long we're here for. But whilst we're here, I feel that we should fulfill our potential and definitely make the most of what Almighty God has given us.
Look, as a Sikh, we believe is it 84 lakh June, hana? Us to baad, once we become a human being, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and as you're saying, make absolutely the most of that. And so before we finished, Ravi, because time is fast running out, I think what we need to do, Ravi, is, we, as I said, we obviously know each other, is that we need to get you on this show to share your wisdom with our viewers, because it's people like yourself that we need, and many others. This is not something that one person can do alone. We need to shift the advice that we're taking, that we don't need to look outside of our community to succeed. Our community is already a success. So, we need to look inwardly and find people like yourselves who are natural leaders, because you've had a huge corporate career as well as the health and fitness business that you run now, haven't you?
That's right. And there's been many ups and downs. And, I thank people that have coached me and mentored me, now next week I'll be a panel speaker at the UK Health and Wellbeing event on the 25th of Feb. And this is a mainstream UK corporate wellbeing event, and I'm there, one of the panel speakers.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason why people from any background can't make it in the mainstream. Absolutely no reason. And look, you are what you believe. It's that simple.
Well, you can't get any better than that. Ravi, I know, has been in the corporate business world for a long, long time. He's won some awards for his fitness and health. Do you want to share some of that with us, Ravi? What achievements have you done, and what actually brought you out of the corporate world into what you're doing now?
Well, what brought me out was there needs to be a passion that gets fulfilled in your life, and that could be voluntary work, it could be sports, it could be media, it could be something else. And as a child growing up, I always wanted to be in sports.
Brilliant.
One of my earliest ambitions was to be a professional wrestler, and unfortunately I never completed that, and that still burns inside me.
I want to take, when you come up to the Midlands, I'm going to take you to see Ranjit Singh at the Wolverhampton Wrestling School.
Great.
So let's see if we can fulfill that ambition for you. Ravi, thank you so much. Like I said, it'd be an absolute pleasure to have you on the show and share the whole of your story with us. But we're fast approaching the time when we need to start wrapping up. Is there any final words? What would you like to see more of on the show, or what are we doing that's right, or a message to the community?
Well, what I want to share with the community is it is a frightening time. There's a lot of uncertainty. People are afraid about their jobs. They're afraid about what world are they bringing the children into. So now more than ever, there needs to be collaboration, and along with collaboration, there needs to be execution. There's no point doing a brainstorm or writing things down. You have to execute and do karam, right? And you know that the Lord will see what comes of it, but you owe it to yourself to take action.
Ravi, what is it? Sochya sochna hove, je soche lakhwar, right?
Absolutely.
So you can keep thinking about it all day long, but until you take some action, nothing will change, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. And, you know, it's all very well having affirmations and wishing for good things, but you've got to get up off your backside and do something about it. And I think you and I both share that philosophy.
Yes, and it would be wonderful to execute some initiatives just to help the youth, and just to help wider humanity, you know, be the best they can be.
Ravi, thank you so much. I know you're a great human being. We'll speak again, and like I said, we'll try and get you on the show in a future episode.
Thank you, everyone. God bless.
Thank you so much. So, look, there are so many people. Ravi arge hai na, bade insaan hai, bahut hi change kaam kar rahe hain. The thing that I'd like to say is, ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਥੱਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਖਿੱਚਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. Stop doing that, right? Let's push everybody up, right? There's more than enough money. ਜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਪੜੋਸੀ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਨਾ ਪੈਸੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਆ ਗਏ ਆ, ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਸਕਦੇ. You know, stop being envious of your neighbor. Knock on his door and ask him, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕੀਤਾ? What did you do? That's how I succeeded. If I see somebody successful, I'll try and talk to them. And for that, you know, all I've earned is success, and they've been very, very helpful. Mere yaar mittar, you know, I've got a wonderful friend in Manchester, Javid Hussain, who's helped me an awful lot. And jadon vi koi gal hove, he's there. And I've got a few other friends like that who I'll mention in the future. And these individuals are here to help everybody. Ravi arge, he doesn't need to phone in. Yeah, inna successful ya. He has his own business, and he's had a corporate career now. He does health and well-being, as you said. He was speaking somewhere. So there are people out there that want to help you. Bade log hai jehde are very, very happy for you to ask them questions, for me to answer your questions. Then, like we said, so if you're looking to go into business and you got some ideas, contact me. Find me on Facebook, Cam Johal. Insta, it's Cam Johal Official. Tusi message karo. I'm quite happy to speak to you about how your business can grow. Because you see, I was in your position a long time ago. When I was a kid, somebody helped me. Yeah. My dad, one of the yaar mittar, sade rishtedar, I had great advice from my uncles. And, you know, and those are the people whose experiences I used to start my own businesses. Usto baad, you know, then it's up to me, you learn yourself. So if you're a kid sat on a sofa, you want to be an entrepreneur, please get in touch with me, right? You know, mum and dad sometimes can't always help. And if you're a mum and dad and you've got a kid sat on the sofa, or you want to start your own business, then please let's do it, because through business, that's how we succeed. And that's the way we can go forward. Business karke tusi apni family nu, apni community nu bahut hi vadda kar sakde hain. We can donate more. We can build better gurdware that represent us. So those are the kind of things that we want to do. We want to be really positive, right? Jehdi hana apne negativity onu apa chhadiye, koi positive steps apa laiye, saadi community sari bade. Kyunki apa kalla banda koi nahi bad sakda. Right? ਅਸੀਂ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਮੇਰਾ ਸੂਤ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਵੇ, ਮੇਰਾ ਗੁਆਂਢੀ ਦਾ ਨਾ ਸੂਤ ਲੱਗੇ. It doesn't work like that. Life is not like that. Yeah, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਹਰੇਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਦਾ ਆ. And we've got a wonderful community. So I want you to come with me on this journey that we're going to take at this station and have an amazing time doing it. Sharing the success stories of what goes on, how it's gone on, how people make it, you know, in regard to business, in regard to communities. And as Ravi said, traditional industries, they'll be gone. You know, automation, artificial intelligence is coming, and there'll be different types of jobs. So now that's all we have time for. I'll bid you a very, very good night. Sat Sri Akal Saranu. Until next time, take care.